Section CAE, and I'm here to discuss you of what kind of country is United States when in terms of law enforcement. So, law enforcement in the United States is one of the three major components of the criminal justice system of the United States, along with courts and corrections. So, kani ko nung law enforcement sa United States is usa ko na niya sa tulo ka major nga component sa criminal justice system sa Estados Unidos or United States. So, along with the courts and corrections, although each component operates semi-independently, the three collectively form of a chain leading from an investigation of suspected criminal activity to administration of criminal punishment. So, kani ko nung mga kuan ko no is nakuha na sila yung mga moperate ko na sila mga semi-kibali nga katagsa-tagsa nga tulo ka collective form of chain nga sila ang nag-lead sa mga investigation or unsa pa nada nga mga criminal activity. Then, law enforcement operates primarily through governmental police agencies. There are 17,985 U.S. police agencies in United States, which include city police departments, county sheriff's offices, state police, highway patrol, and federal law enforcement agencies. So, ang sa law enforcement kuno sa US is nakuno sila the city mail 985 nga ka mga police agencies. So, included na kuno diha ang kuan city police kanang makita nato sa atong kuan, then kanang county sheriff's office, state police, highway patrol o federal law enforcement agencies. So, the law enforcement purpose of these agencies are the investigation of suspected criminal activity. So, sila kuno na ang ila kunong kuan ilang tibali purpose is tigkuan na sila tig imbestiga sa kanang mga na pasanginan or na suspected nga mga kriminal or sa mga krimen nga mga mahitabo. So, referral to the results of investigation to state or federal prosecutors and the temporary detention of suspected criminals pending judicial action. Then, law enforcement agencies to varying degrees. So, mingot ang varying. So, what is varying? So, when we say varying is to be different sa mga degrees at the different levels of government, and in different agencies are also commonly charged with the responsibilities of deterring criminal activity and preventing the successful commission of crimes and progress. So, ang law enforcement is sila ang tigpugong or prevent sa mga crimes nga padung pa or sa mga nahitabo na. So, other duties may include the service and enforcement of warrants, writs, and other orders of the court. So, kung minguntag writs is a document from a court or someone o siya mo na siya ang kibali nga document nga magmando nga to do something or to do not, kibali mo na siya moingon nga mo na siya kibali magsugo nga document nga na kay buhaton or adjaw na laman buhata. Then, law enforcement agencies are also involved in providing first response to emergencies and other threats of public safety. So, ang law enforcement is akip po na siya sa mga mag-provide og kuan kanang kinaunahan na tumatawag kung may mga emergencies, like kung ang pulis gani di na sa kay sa mga krimen ram, pwede po na siya magamit kung may mga sakuna or other nga mga mahitabo nga kuan sa atong country or threats sa mga public safety, kibali na mag-ingon nga na bomba nga na pwede na sila nato ba tawag tabang. Then, the protection of certain public facilities and infrastructure. So, pwede po na sila nato matawag sa mga public facilities nga or sa infrastructure sa mga building na nabaroy mga hold up or something mga na magtubok nga na. The maintenance of public order. So, sana po na kibali kanang i-maintain nila ng sa atong public places kanang para nang atoy butang kanang ni mangi sa taplinsadan bawal baza na. So usa po na silang aksyonan. The protection of public officials. Kana para ng mga tao, mga tao yan na, or sa mga mga konsehal or sa mga kuan, pwede po na silang protection yan na. And the operation of some detention facilities, usually at the local level. So kumukuha na sila sa atong mga kuanra, sa ilang sold sa ilang country or sa kuan. Di na sila moabot sa atong laing lugar. Okay, so that would be my topic for today, ma'am, and God bless.
Law enforcement operates primarily through governmental police agencies. There are 17,985 police agencies in the United States, which includes City Police Department, County Sheriff's Office, State Police or Highway Patrol, and federal law enforcement agencies. Law enforcement agencies to varying degrees at different levels of government and in different agencies are also commonly charged with the responsibilities of deterring criminal activity and preventing the successful commission of crime in progress. Other duties may include the service and enforcement of warrants, writs, and other orders of the courts. Law enforcement agencies are also involved in providing first response to emergencies and other threats to public safety, the protection of certain public facilities and infrastructure, the maintenance of the public order, the protection of the public officials, and the operation of some detention facilities, which are usually at the local level. Number of forces to be commanded in U.S. The United States Armed Forces are the military forces of the United States of America. It consists of 7 forces, namely the Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, Space Force, and Coast Guard. The President of the United States is the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces and for military policy with the Department of Defense or DoD and Department of Homeland Security or DHS, both federal executive departments acting as the principal organs by which military policy is carried out. What type of forces in Hong Kong? The Hong Kong garrison includes elements of the People's Liberation Army Ground Force, People's Liberation Army Navy, and People's Liberation Army Air Force. These forces are under the direct leadership of the Central Military Commission in Beijing and under the administrative control of the adjacent Southern Theater Command.
Hi, good day everyone. I'm Christabel Apis and this is a discussion of the number of forces to be commanded in US. So, if one country is organized in a single forces under commander, it is called singular model because of single forces. And in single forces, there are a number of police officers. It is called multiple model because it is organized of many police in single forces. In US, it is called as multiple model because their country has a different types of agencies of law enforcement which has its own function and has its own commander to lead. The major agencies in US are Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, and Coast Guard, which are the military forces of the United States. That's all. Thank you.
Good day everyone, especially to you ma'am. My name is Jujil Siranga, B Scream 1, Section CEI. Types of forces in US. US Armed Forces are made up of the 6 military branches: Air Force, Army, Coast Guard, Marine Corps, Navy, and most recently, Space Force. First of all, I want to explain the United States Air Force. The United States Air Force is the Air Force service branch of the United States Armed Forces. It is one of the 8 U.S. uniformed services. So, kining United States Air Force, kung maingong nitag Air Force, so pang kuan dun kanang pang air ba kanang sa babaw pareha na helicopter kanang yan na jet na. Then second, the United States Army. The United States Army is the land service branch of the United States Armed Forces. It is one of the 8 U.S. uniformed service and designated as the Army of the United States in the U.S. Constitution. So, kining United States Army, so kumingon tag Army, kanang Armed Forces gapon ni siya nga daghang kuan, hawiran nga pusel. So, sa kuan naman sila sa land. Kumingon tag land, kanang pang kining atong gitumban yan eh. Then the third, the United States Marine Corps or USMS OMC, also known as the US Marines in Naval Ground Forces Service branch of the United States Armed Forces that is responsible for performing combined arms expeditionary and amphibious operations as well as deploying its own infantry, armor, artillery, airborne, and special forces. So, umingon tag USMC or United States Marine Corps. So, US Marines gapon ni sidya, pero naa sila sa Naval Ground Force Service branch. Kanang responsible sila sa kanang mga combining nga mga gamit sa kanang mga more on armor ba. Then the United States Navy or USN is the maritime service branch of the United States Armed Forces and one of the 8 uniformed service of the United States. So kung ingon tag Navy, maritime ni siya. So kung ingon tag maritime, kanang pangdagat, kanang nga pareha na mga kanang taong makita ninyo nga nas dagat nga mga armed forces muna sila yung mga navy. Then the US Space Force, this is the last, is the 6th independent US military service branch tasked with mission and operation in the rapidly evolving space domain. So, kining Space Forces, pareha gyapon ni sila sa nagyapon sila kaparehan sa Air Force. Pero kining Space Forces kanang panggrabe ni sila ba kanang more on kuno din sila gira nga dito sa babaw. Kana then that's all. Thank you. God bless.
My name is Dino G. Dugula, BS Scream CAA1. Explain what kind of country Hong Kong is in terms of policing. Policing in Hong Kong offers a report of selected aspect of law enforcement in one of the world's most interesting locales, especially from the viewpoint of comparative social science research. For a long time, a colony of the British Empire, Hong Kong has since 1997 been politically organized as a special administrative region of China under the principle of one country, two systems. This principle basically secures that the socialism of mainland China will not be practiced in Hong Kong, where capitalism is maintained and whereas stipulated in the basic law of Hong Kong. A considerable degree of autonomy is assured with respect to executive, legislative, and judicial powers. The Hong Kong Police Force is the primary law enforcement, investigation agency, and larger disciplined service under the Security Bureau of Hong Kong. It was established by the British Hong Kong government on May 1, 1844. Professor Kam Wong reviews the evolution of policing in Hong Kong on the basis of analysis of a number of important issues that are especially relevant from viewpoint of professional police administration. As such, the general title of the book does not entirely convey the more delineated focus of this book on certain administrative aspects of law enforcement, such as police reform, police power and abuse, and accountability. Seven chapters are presented to discuss these issues.
Hi, good day. I'm Jael Q. Maraon, base Cream 1 sa AA. And about this video is name of law enforcement agency in Hong Kong and explain if it is singular model or multiple model. Based on my research, I think for day-to-day policing on Hong Kong facts sheet, the force is organized into 6 regions. Kabilong na niyang Hong Kong Island, Kowloon, and the community through the enhanced use of social media and multi-agency cooperations. So the multi-agency cooperations or multiple model in the Hong Kong is the Hong Kong Police Force or HKPF is the primary law enforcement investigation agency and the largest discipline service under the Security Bureau of Hong Kong. That's all and thank you.
Good morning, ma'am. My name is Vincent Labus, BS Cream 1, Section CAA. And my topic is what type of forces in Hong Kong. The Hong Kong garrison includes elements of the People's Liberation Army Grand Force, PLA Navy or PLA Air Force. These forces are under the direct leadership of the Central Military Commission in Beijing and under the administrative control of the adjacent Southern Theater Command. The People's Liberation Army Hong Kong Garrison is a garrison of Chinese People's Liberation Army PLA responsible for defense duties in the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region SAR since the sovereignty of Hong Kong was transferred to China in 1997. Prior to the handover of Hong Kong, the territory was under British rule, and the defense of the territory was the responsibility of the British forces overseas Hong Kong with auxiliary help from the Royal Hong Kong Regiment. And this is the discussion about number of forces commanded in Hong Kong. The Hong Kong Police Force has distinguished itself as one of the oldest yet most modern police forces in the world. Formed in 1844, the force evolved from the extremely broad-based rule, embracing such matters as firefighting, prisons, and immigration, to that of a traditional police service. As at April 30, 2020, the force has a strength of 28,818, of which 17.8% are female officers. It also has 4,289 civilian staff. The Hong Kong Auxiliary Police Force HKAPF was originally formed in 1914 as a reserve to assist in the time of natural disaster of civil emergency. As at April 30, 2020, the HKAPF police has changed over time to keep pace with a changing environment. It is now a trained manpower reserve in support of the regular force and is deployed in accordance with prevailing operational priorities determined by the commissioners of police. The police operate within the traditional constabulary concept of preventing life and property, preventing and detecting crime, and keeping the peace, with a strong emphasis on enlisting community support. structure, the force is commanded by the commissioners of police who is assisted by three deputy commissioners. One deputy commissioner supervises all operational matters and one is responsible for the direction and coordination of the management of the force, including personnel, training, and management services. The third one is tax withhand. That's all, ma'am. Thank you.
Law enforcement in the United States is one of three major components of the criminal justice system of the United States, along with courts and correction, and operates primarily through governmental police agencies. There are 17,985 U.S. police agencies in the United States, which include city police departments, county sheriff's office, state police, highway patrol, and federal law enforcement of typical police duties such as patrol and investigation. Sheriffs are the top law enforcement officer at the country level. There are about 3,100 sheriffs in the U.S., most of whom are elected and exercise political control. Some countries have two sheriffs, one criminal and the other is civil. However, not all countries have sheriff's office. Larger countries tend to have country police department run by a chief of police, and some countries have
Hi everyone, good day. My name is Wilfredo Macata, Biscream CAA, and I'm here to discuss what are the law enforcement agencies in United States. Actually, ang law enforcement agency dito sa United States, murag 50 kapin siguro sila. So daghan na. So munang dili na napo na isda yung i-discuss nang usa-usa kung saan sila or kung saan ilang mga roles. So munang dili na kay maabtan tag sa kadlaw. So first, ang law enforcement agency sa United States is the Federal Bureau of Investigation. So ang Federal Bureau of Investigation is a domestic intelligence and security service of the United States. So sana siya ka domestic intelligence and security service sa United States. Next is the United States Department of Justice. The United States Department of Justice, it is a federal executive department of the United States, which is tasked to enforce federal law and administration of justice in the U.S. Next is the Drug Enforcement Administration. The Drug Enforcement Administration, it is a United States federal law enforcement agency under the U.S. Department of Justice, which is tasked with combating drug trafficking. Munay kanidja combating drug trafficking. Next is the Bureau of Justice Statistics. The Bureau of Justice Statistics, it is a federal agency responsible for measuring crime, criminal victimization, criminal offenders, victims of crime, correlates of crime, and the operation of criminal. So mo tayo sa Bureau of Justice Statistics. So next is the United States Marshal Service. The United States Marshal Service, it is a federal law enforcement agency in the United States. They operate under the direction of the attorney. So under ni sila sa direction sa attorney. Next is the United States Secret Service. The United States Secret Service is a federal law enforcement agency under the Department of Homeland Security. They tasked with conducting criminal investigation and protecting U.S. political leaders. So, ang ilang task is to conduct criminal investigations o mag-protect po sa mga political leaders sa United States. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosive. So, ang Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosive usa po ni siya ka Federal Law Enforcement Agency within the United Department of Justice. So, under ni siya sa United Department of Justice. Sila may mag-conduct og investigation and prevention of federal offenses. So, next is the U.S. Customs and Border Protection. So, the U.S. Customs and Border Protection muna siya ang pinaka-largest federal law enforcement agency of the United States. United States Department of Homeland Security. So, their duty is to protect their country's border. So, muna ilang duty, protekta sa border sa United States. United States Department of Homeland Security. So, muna po ni. The United States Department of Homeland Security is a federal executive department responsible for public security. So, muna isang duty. Sila may responsibilidad. Responsibilidad nila ang public security. Next is the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. So, ang U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement is a federal law enforcement agencies under the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. Their missions is to protect United States from the cross-border crime and illegal immigration that threaten national security and public safety. Next is Office of the Justice Program. The Office of Justice Program is an agency of the United States Department of Justice that focuses on crime prevention through research. So, mo tayo yung kuan. Ibalik mo task. It focuses on crime prevention through research. Next is the Federal Bureau of Prisons. A Federal Bureau of Prisons is a federal law enforcement agency under the Department of Justice, responsible for the care, custody, and control of incarcerated individuals. So, mura po ni siya sa BGMP sa Pilipinas. So, next is the United States Park Police. The United States Park Police is one of the oldest uniformed federal law enforcement agencies in the United States. So, saan siya sa pinaka-oldest uniform. So, mo yung get ng uniform kanang na yung mga police nga ranang sa PNP bitaw nga na sila yung mga uniform nga na ba? Army nga na. Muna sila yung mga uniform nga law enforcement agency. Ang United States Park Police, so they are tasked to investigate the detained person suspected of committing offenses against the U.S. So, mo ilang kuan. Muna ilang task. National Security Agency or the NSA. The National Security Agency is a national level intelligence agency of the United States. So, national level na siya nga agency sa United States. Sa Department of Defense, under the authority of the Director of National Intelligence. Next is the Central Intelligence Agency or known as the CIA. So, ang Central Intelligence Agency usan ni siya ka civilian foreign intelligence service of the federal government of the United States. So, gitawag ni si kuan the agency or the company. So, mo ni si kuan. Mo ni pinaka-astig nga kuan agency para na ho. Next is the Interpol. Interpol, so kuan naman tani ibaw naman tani kay na tackle naman ni nato sa atong kuan Leia 2. Interpol, it is an international criminal police organization that facilitates worldwide police cooperation and crime control. Their primary task is to support police and law enforcement agency in its 180 member countries in their efforts to prevent crime. Next is the Federal Protective Service. So the Federal Protective Service is the Uniformed Security Police Division of the United States Department of Homeland Security. So uniform nga agency. They provide security and law enforcement service to federally owned and leased buildings. So next is the United States Coast Guard. The United States Coast Guard is the maritime security, search and rescue, and one of the country's 8 uniformed service. So kaning Coast Guard sa United States usap ni sa uniformed services kay naman dyan sila yung mga uniform. Next is the United States Postal Inspection Service. The United States Postal Inspection Service, it is the law enforcement arm of the United States Postal Service. They defend the nation's mail system from illegal, dangerous use. So ang ilang trabaho is to defend the nation's mail system. So next is the Federal Air Marshal Service. The Federal Air Marshal Service is the United States federal law enforcement agency under the supervision of the Transportation Security Administration of the United States Department of Homeland Security. They're protecting commercial passengers' flights by deterring and countering the risk of terrorist activity. Sumato siya sa Federal Air Marshal Service. So next is the Community-Oriented Policing Service. So ang Community-Oriented Policing Service, usan siya ka agency nga usan siya ka agency sa United States of the Department of Justice. So it was created with the passage of the Violent Crime Control and Law. So next is the National Institute of Justice. National Institute of Justice is a research, development, and education agency of the United States Department of Justice. Their mission is to advance scientific research, development, and education to enhance the administration of justice and public safety. Ito siya sa National Institute of Justice. So next is the Diplomatic Security Service. The Diplomatic Security Service is a federal law enforcement agency and security arm of the U.S. Department of State. It is responsible primarily for protecting diplomatic assets, personnel, and information and combating visa and passport fraud. So ang ilang trabaho is about sa anay mga pagbiyahe ba. Sila may responsibilidad na. Next is the United States Capitol Police. The United States Capitol Police is a federal law enforcement agency in the United States charged with protecting the United States Congress. So muna siya protekta sa United States Congress. Next is the New York City Police Department. The New York City Police Department is a primary law enforcement agency within the city of New York. Established on May 23, 1845, and is one of the oldest police departments in the United States and the largest police in the United States. So sa police is the largest police force sa United States. So next is the Amtrak Police Department. So Amtrak Police Department is a railroad police agency and security organization that acts as the law enforcement arm of Amtrak. So kaning Amtrak, mga familiar naman nato kay mapan man sa TV bitaw sa Lida. Next is the International Revenue Service Criminal Investigation. So the International Revenue Service Criminal Investigation is the United States federal law enforcement agency which is responsible for investigating potential and criminal violation of the US. Next is the FBI Police. So FBI is the Uniformed Security Police of the Federal Bureau of Investigation and is part of the Bureau Security Division. So part nito sa Bureau of Security Division in FBI. United States Air Force Office of Special Investigation. So Ang United States Air Force Office of Special Investigation is a U.S. federal law enforcement agency that reports directly to the Secretary of the Air Force. Sumunod sa United States Air Force. So next is the Transportation Security Administration. So the Transportation Security Administration is an agency of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. Their task is to secure the traveling public in the United States. So, ang ilang task is to secure ang traveling public sa United States. Next is the United States Forest Service. So, the United States Forest Service is an agency of the U.S. Department of Agriculture that administers the nation's 154 national forests and 20 national grasslands. They manage 193 million acres of land, provide financial assistance to state and private forestry agencies, and make up the largest forestry in the world. So next is the United States Department of Treasury. The United States Department of Treasury is the national treasury of the federal government of the United States, where it serves as an executive department. So moto siya sa United States Department of Treasury. Next is the United States Fish and Wildlife Service Office of the Law Enforcement. They contribute to service efforts to manage ecosystem, save endangered species, conserve migratory birds, preserve wildlife habitat, restore fisheries, combat invasive species, and promote international wildlife conservation. Defense Logistics Agency. So ang Defense Logistics Agency usa ni siya ka combat support agency sa United States Department of Defense. So next is the United States Department of Veterans Affairs Police. So the United States Department of Veterans Affairs Police is a uniformed law enforcement agency sa United States of Veterans Affairs. So they are responsible for the protection of VA medical center. So ang ilang responsibilidad nila pagprotekta sa mga VA medical centers. Supreme Court Police. So ang Supreme Court Police is a federal law enforcement agency that derives its authority from United States Code 40 USC 6121. Next is the United States Department of Interior. The United States Department of Interior is a federal executive department of the U.S. government. They protect and manage the nation's natural resources and cultural heritage. They provide scientific and other information about those resources. So next is the Criminal Investigation Division. Criminal Investigation Division investigates felony crimes and serious violations of military law. United States Department of Justice Civil Rights Division is one of the institutions within the federal statutes prohibiting discrimination on the basis of race, sex, disability, religion, and national origin. Next is the Office of Criminal Investigation. The Office of the Criminal Investigation was established to provide U.S. Food and Drug Administration with a specific office to conduct, coordinate criminal investigation. So next is the Department of Defense Police. The Department of Defense of Police are the uniformed civilian police officers of the United States Department of Defense. Next is the Bureau of Land Management. Bureau of Land Management is an agency within the United States Department of the Interior responsible for administering federal lands. Next is the Pentagon Force Protection Agency. The Pentagon Force Protection Agency is a federal law enforcement agency within the U.S. Department of Defense charged with protecting and safeguarding the occupants and visitors. Next is the Federal Reserve Police. Is the law enforcement unit of the Federal Reserve System. the central banking system of the United States. Last one is the United States Department of Commerce. The United States Department of Commerce is an executive department of the U.S. federal government concerned with promoting economic growth. That would be all. Thank you.